Welcome to the Bootleg Zones. As a few of you are likely aware, I do reviews on Dingo Pictures movies, so I've collected a few of their releases. In fact, I have way too many of their releases. I have more Dingo Pictures movies than one person should likely have. Yeah, I don't know how healthy it is for one person to have this much Dingo, but that's my life. So, yeah, I guess I've come a long way from wondering if Dingo movies had any English releases outside of the PlayStation ports. So, here's the movie and the release that started it all for me, Lion and the King on PlayStation 1 by Midas Games. Look at that stunning disc art. You can hardly tell this was a budget title release. And here was my second Dingo movie I got, which was the same Dingo movie, just released as a sequel, Lion and the King 2, but put out by Phoenix Games. This one at least has some actual disc art, but it's still in black and white. What I've always kind of wondered about this mishap is if one of these releases at some point was meant to be the original De König de Tira, but they screwed it up. But then again, it might just be Midas and Phoenix being lazy. And one of the things I love on both of these releases is they call the Black Panther's son Kino, which is absolutely nothing like what they actually name him in the movie, Mew Mew. I guess absolutely everywhere they want him to be named Kino instead of Mew Mew, as they call him that on the back of the East-West DVD as well. And on the back of the Midas release, you can see that wonderful, borrowing of Kimba the White Lion for the games section. At least on the Phoenix release of the pretend sequel, they used actual De König de Tira stuff for that. And as I've mentioned before, this was also released as Lion and the King 3 on DS. Well, maybe. It's possible this was just a mock-up, as this is the only picture of this I've seen still. Lion and the King also saw release on East-West DVD as The Lion and His Son 2. One of the big Dingo mysteries for me still is, was there an East-West DVD release of De König de Tira 1? I found on the archive of the old East-West DVD site that there is a listing for Animal King, which seems like it could possibly be the first De König de Tira. But that DVD still has yet to be found, so who knows what it really is. So here's a group shot of all the De König de Tira or Lion and the King 1 and 2 releases I've got. Even on some of the German releases, they make it confusing which movie you're actually going to get, as this release is De König de Tira 1, and this is De König de Tira 2, even though they're both just named De König de Tira. Knowing what movie you're buying is so overrated. What I like on this release is them for some reason frizzing out King Magod's mane. I actually have a multi-Dingo release DVD that uses almost this exact same cover art. But on the multi-movie release cover, they did not frizz out King Magod's mane. And this is a release of De König de Tira that I got just because I was rather amused that it even had a VCD release. Especially a VCD release that was also plugging the CDI. Dingo Pictures on CDI is a real clash of the titans there. I also like that this is a VCD put out by a company called VCR Film. But this is actually not the only Lion and the King VCD I have now. These are some rather sneaky Spanish VCDs which are masquerading as DVDs. See, they stuck the DVD logo on here, but what it actually says is DVD video compatible. So yeah, these are all actually video CDs in DVD cases with the DVD logo on them. DVD compatible! Real cute, guys, but not compatible with the PS2. And for some reason, they also have this weird clip art looking freak on some of the artwork for El Rey Leon. This title just translates out to The Lion King, the unbelievable history of Simba. And if you think putting the name Simba on there is a little blatant, what if they just blatantly stole Simba artwork for their second one and called it Simba, The Legend of Lion King 2? And no one can forget Simba's best friend, clip art deer. Maybe that's supposed to be Goldie. I don't remember the Tootsie Pop owl being in this movie either. The Spanish Tarzan DVD compatible disc uses different Tarzan artwork than most of their covers, however they still keep the snake from that. But they've also inserted an actual dingo gorilla on the side here. But of course, this guy isn't actually supposed to be called Tarzan because they didn't have the rights to that name, so here's his better known name, Lord of the Rainforest. So a lot of these East-West covers with artwork that's way more fancy than anything seen in the movie were by a Greek artist called Michalis Venantoulias. Georg Zarenisek also did a lot of artwork for Dingo covers, and his made it to some East-West DVDs as well. Jamie the Little Pig, besides being one of East-West's rare releases seemingly, is also notable as it's the only East-West DVD I've seen that came in a full-size DVD cover. Every other East-West DVD I've seen besides this one came in the thin case. East-West also lazily reused this same cover art for their release of the Tales of Magic version of the Three Little Pigs. Hey, this stuff always needs to be extra confusing, right? Speaking of confusing and cover art being used for different movies, this is the Dingo Brementown Musicians, and this is an old 1959 live-action version of the movie. And since it seems East-West never released Dingo's Brementown Musicians in English, I had to find the English dub of the movie on the Fun Kids French DVD. Though I guess if an East-West DVD ever surfaces with the English version of Dingo's movie with the same cover art, I wouldn't be too surprised. By the way, they just removed the cat from the French DVD's cover and lazily chopped its head and moved it down so the title could fit on the East-West DVD. You can actually see the cat's head placed on properly on the back. And here's a German release of the Brementown Musicians that actually uses the Dingo-style artwork for the cover. The Little Deer, aka Goldie, Dingo's Bambi ripoff, has Wabu's Nightmare with double whooshles. And for some reason on this cover, there's a weird circular cutout here which misaligns some of the artwork. Here's the two multi-movie DVDs of Dingo that I have. I currently only have Dinosaur Adventure on PS2, as this is one of the movies where the East-West DVD is almost impossible to find. The same goes for Animal Soccer World. The East-West DVD release of it, which renamed it Animal Soccer Championship, has never surfaced anywhere. I do have a German DVD release of Animal Soccer World, though. This is the one I've mentioned a few times that says there's an English audio option, but it's not actually present on the DVD. This is apparently a release by Art Media, but for some reason their name and logo is nowhere on here. Here's a DVD that does have the Art Media logo on it, but it's an East-West DVD release. On the East-West Pocahontas DVD, you can still see the Art Media logo underneath where they put DVD video. A cut-off version of the Art Media logo is also present on the back. I gotta say though, this depiction of Wabu is not nearly mischievous enough looking. Here are some Italian Dingo DVDs I have, mostly because Italy seems to be the only region that got Perseus and Siegfried on DVD. These Italian releases were all put out by a company called Lego Kart. And yeah, you gotta love the blatant Disney Hercules ripoff artwork for their Perseus cover. I actually have two copies of the Lego Kart release of Siegfried because neither one of them want to work correctly. These were both brand new with the plastic still on the cover when I got them, but neither one of these discs will read properly. So I'm guessing there's just some kind of pressing error at the factory with this particular movie, as the other Lego Kart DVDs I have work fine. And I also have the East-West DVD release of the Dingo Atlantis movie. Here's the East-West DVD of The Toys Room with cover art of some guy that has absolutely nothing at all to do with this movie. The Mouse Police artwork, of course, looks nothing like the Mickey Mouse ripoffs that are actually in the movie. I don't know what happened with this cover art too, because the mice look like they've been vertically stretched and there's just this really shitty insertion of this treasure here. Here's the movie that is absolutely not Balto, even though the character's called Balto in it, The Adventures of Brave the Husky. And on the spine of this DVD, you can still see Alto on here because at one point they were definitely just going to call this Balto. My favorite scene of this movie is definitely when Balto met Mirror Universe Balto. Without a doubt, my favorite East-West movie title mangling was them turning Puss in Boots into the Cat on Boots. I also have a German release of this one, which shows the actual Dingo, Charlie, Cat, and Boots on it. You also gotta love the wizard on this cover where he's kind of like, hey, look, it's that guy! For some reason, there's also a few releases that use almost the same cover, but they keep changing what the cat on boots looks like. This German release I have was distributed by a company called Power Station. Here's the two copies of Anastasia I have, with the East-West one having an Anastasia that looks nothing like how she actually does in the movie, though they did include the Sasha dog. And the German Power Station release here uses the proper Dingo artwork for Anastasia on it. But they also have a crappy redraw of the Don Bluth Anastasia over to the side here, who was sort of in this movie, but was turned into Manastasia. Aladdin is one of the DVD releases where they made the interesting choice of, instead of putting artwork on here that looks better than the actual Dingo movie, they chose artwork that makes it look worse. I mean, just look at the contrast here of the Aladdin DVD cover next to the Dingo Moses movie, The Prince of Egypt. And no, putting their faces in circles in front of some building doesn't fix anything. And I mean, just look at that crappy drawing of the genie especially. He looks like shit. This is one of the slightly irritating East-West releases to find, but not as invisible as things like Animal Soccer Championship. It's also hard to tell which version of this movie you'll get because there's one that cuts off the movie prematurely. This is Der Osterhase, which is another harder to find Dingo movie. This is an actually animated sort of sequel to that Bunny the Rabbit movie. Here's the two Dingo Dalmatians movies, with The Adventures of the Dalmatians 2 being the first movie and Dalmatians being the second/third movie. Of course, my favorite thing about the artwork for The Adventures of the Dalmatians 2 is the knockoff Cruella de Vil, who is not in the movie, of course. They also have a rip-off Roger, Anita, and, I don't know, human Mrs. Potts on the back of the cover here. I also like on the back of the Dalmatians cover where it looks like the Dalmatian puppies are all admiring the crappy old Superman cartoon. One of the most confusing Dingo covers is this Hunchback of Notre Dame one, which instead of ripping off something popular, takes characters from the 90s Burbank version of the movie. Here's the movie that has absolutely nothing to do with Aristocats, Nice Cats, complete with the evil butler from Aristocats who's not actually in Nice Cats. By the way, did you guys know that this cat's name in Aristocats wasn't really Baloo the cat? Little known fact. Here's Winky the little bear, who doesn't look so little as he's towering over the other animals, and I thought this might be a grumpy bear movie, but really this is just the countryside bears again. And considering this movie is mostly about Waboo, it's kind of silly he's not on the cover anywhere. And that, of course, leads me to the most important movie Dingo ever made, the Waboo movie. The East-West DVD and Fun Kids releases have almost the exact same cover, with a really weird-looking Waboo, but he does have the white mask like he should. That's a detail they screwed up on the Pocahontas cover. So I have two different French Waboo DVDs because why wouldn't I? The Fun Kids DVD has the same dub that I call the East-West dub that shows up on East-West DVDs, Fun Kids, and Art Media releases. Waboo, the King of the Forest, features a more professional sounding dub. This DVD was distributed by the company RM Musique. It has decent looking artwork on it, but this does not really resemble Waboo and his mask is the wrong color. It's also kind of interesting that for some reason they changed the spelling of Waboo on this release. Waboo is also currently the only Dingo movie I have a VHS release of. And this is artwork that actually resembles the character models in the movie, but just improves them a little. This VHS was put out by the company Junger. And a kind of odd thing about this is, even though this is a German release of the movie, it's put out in NTSC, where Germany is a PAL region. Not really sure why there were German NTSC releases. Confusing Dingo releases are so stupid! I'm back with more Ghostbusters releases, including this, the Lost Ghostbusters format V2000. So this might primarily be it, but then again, you never know. We might be back with another format that no one remembers. You might think it's pointless to own all these versions of this one movie, but now when someone asks me, do you want to watch Ghostbusters, I can say, which format and which country's version do you want to watch? Yeah, it's pointless, whatever. So, here we are. Here's the Ghostbusters release I was the most excited to finally find. This is Ghostbusters on Video 2000. I've been searching for Ghostbusters on Video 2000 for about 5 years now and hadn't even seen a picture of it until this listing that I bought came up. Video 2000 or V2000 is a mostly forgotten about cassette format that was only released in Europe, South Africa, and Argentina. The V2000 cassettes were put out by Philips and Grundig to try and compete with VHS and Betamax. V2000 is the biggest loser of the cassette wars considering its limited release, and most people, even in the regions it came out, have completely forgotten about it or never heard of it. One of the things I like about V2000 tapes are they just look like oversized audio cassettes. Most of the V2000 cassettes I've ever seen were coming out of the UK, so I was pretty surprised when this German copy of Ghostbusters popped up. So you can see that they designed this particular case to hold V2000, VHS, or Beta. And I do indeed have the German release of those three formats in almost the same case. V2000 machines were quite prone to error, but the format didn't require tracking, so that's one plus about it. I'd love to be able to rip this tape and see how it compares quality-wise, but I don't know if I'll ever be able to get a working Video 2000 VCR. Now here's my kind of fancy German VHS release of Ghostbusters, where they have the art on the front kind of popping out. Unfortunately, the face on the No-Ghost has kind of gotten pressed in a bit, but it's really hard to find these at all in the first place, let alone one in perfect condition. Here's the actual German cassette of Ghostbusters, which is not nearly as exciting as a V2000 cassette, but oh well. It's a Max L cassette with a red tape flap, which was super important. The red spine on Max L tapes was used as an authenticator in some regions, like the UK.
The red spine on the cassette you are now watching is your assurance of first-class audio-video presentation. If your cassette does not look like this, it is likely to be a pirate copy, and you won't be getting your money's worth.
And an ex-rental copy from the UK with the red spine is one of the versions I just managed to pick up. And I like that the back of this one lets us know that this is the world's most successful comedy. They have the markings on the inside of this case too for all the different tape formats with VHS, Beta, or I guess I should say Beta since this is the UK, and yep, V2000 as well, so it is likely Ghostbusters saw a Video 2000 release in the UK. But anyway, I just really wanted to play this trailer game. There's 22 exciting prizes. Oh, and I did complete my collection of Ghostbusters on German tape formats. It's kind of nice on these German releases too that they didn't just put a sticker over VHS to indicate the different tape format. So here's the German Betamax release of Ghostbusters. This cassette kind of seems extra fancy with the little red RCA Columbia stripe on the tape window. And it also has the RCA Columbia red spine, so it's okay. We know this is not a fake. And here's a kind of similar red case Dutch VHS release. A kind of odd thing about this one is just all this blank space on the bottom on the back. This Dutch VHS also has the red RCA Columbia spine indicator. This tape also has kind of fancy full-color stickers on it, and it has those for both the top and front. This tape also looks to be a former rental copy. And here I have a promotional VHS copy of the 1999 Ghostbusters release. This of course looks almost the same as the regular release, but it is missing digitally mastered under Ghostbusters. And it has promotional copy, not for sale or rent at the bottom. The back of the VHS sleeve is almost the same except for the barcode area. Instead of a barcode, it says order date May 27th, 1999 and street date June 29th, 1999. This tape also has a little message that pops up every once in a while you're watching it. This tape is very basic looking and only has a top label that says Ghostbusters on it. Here's how it looks compared to the other 1999 Ghostbusters VHS releases I have. Now here's the Australian Beta release. This one has a white tape spine, meaning it's super fake. So this one has a third company making it RCA Columbia Hoyts. Australia did not care about beta like Germany, and they do just have a sticker over VHS for the beta copy. The Australian one also used the blurb about this being the world's most successful comedy. Now here's a special VHS double pack of Ghostbusters 1 and 2, and I kind of like the modification of the poster art for Ghostbusters they used on this, just it would be better if Winston was on there too. If you flip it over, he is on the Ghostbusters 2 side at least, but this is just kind of the standard Ghostbusters 2 cover. So this double pack is just a sleeve that houses the two other sleeves for Ghostbusters 1 and 2. The Ghostbusters 2 release in this double pack is the slightly later one, which removes the RCA Columbia logo from it. The Ghostbusters 1 release in this set, though, is a more notable variant that removes the red border. The version that removes the red border like this is specifically from a 1994 release. So, hey, how about another VCD release? This is specifically the Malaysian VCD release of Ghostbusters. And for some reason the outline on the No Ghost got super thick on these discs. The back cover is kind of strange with a glowing Sigourney Weaver inserted in between Ray and Egon covered in marshmallow, and they've got like a certificate thing on the back here. This Malaysian release of Ghostbusters on VCD was put out by a company called HVN. So yeah, once upon a time I couldn't find any version of Ghostbusters on VCD, and now I've somehow ended up with 3 different ones. The one from the Philippines is definitely the best quality-wise. The Malaysian one looks a lot like the Hong Kong one with the blue tint over everything, just without the hard-coded Cantonese subtitles. Next, we have the Blu-ray Essentials release of Ghostbusters. This is just like the standard Blu-ray release of Ghostbusters, but it came with a slipcover. This was a Canadian release as well, though, so it has SOS Phantom below Ghostbusters on it. Next, we have Ghostbusters Collection on Blu-ray, which came from Italy. So this Ghostbusters 3 film set includes Answer the Call, which, you know, isn't a divisive film at all. Honestly, I wouldn't have really bothered with this set had it not been that the picture on the listing showed the No Ghost holding up 3 fingers like a lot of fake posters for Ghostbusters 3 had. I thought it'd be kind of amusing to have a release that actually did that, but it seems like this is just mock-up cover art. Now, I do have a specific Blu-ray release of Answer the Call, the one that came with socks, because that's kind of silly. Over 15 minutes not seen in theaters and 2+ hours of extras! Who cares about that? We've got socks here! Every bit as fun as the original. You know, I didn't hate Answer the Call, but no. Special features, blah blah blah, whatever. Socks. Limited edition. Socks. And here's the Blu-ray of the movie that'll probably make a bunch of people argue in the comments section because it got brought up. Check out these great offers. I don't need any other offers. I already got the socks. Yep, here it is. The most important thing to ever come with a Ghostbusters movie release. Also, it had a shiny slipcover, woo! And I kind of include this in my Ghostbusters movie collection. This is a documentary about Ghostbusters called Cleaning Up the Town. This documentary has a lot of good interviews and behind the scenes stuff. Definitely worth checking out. And since I always count this Ghostbusters video game in with the movies, here's the remastered edition. So I've got my 360 copy with my kind of pointless UK PS3 copy and the PS4 remastered one. It's kind of amusing when you notice that the artwork of the Ghostbusters has actually been modified each time on these covers. The art of the Ghostbusters is almost the same on the 360 and PS4 covers, but there is one really strange change here. For some reason, Ernie Hudson has lost his mustache on the PS4 remastered cover, even though Winston still has his mustache in the game, so I really don't know why they did this. Maybe this was just earlier artwork when they were going to make Winston have more of his Ghostbusters 2 look, and it somehow got used on the remastered cover. Now, here's without a doubt the largest Ghostbusters movie release I have. This box set Blu-ray release comes with a Slimer No Ghost statue. This giant thing is kind of ridiculous. And I really don't know why, but the box comes with a slip cover. So under the slip cover, we again have the No Ghost holding up the 1 and 2 signs, and then the Slimer and No Ghost statue. At the top of the box is the actual Blu-ray set, so yeah, who knew that you didn't need all this box just for a movie? And inside the box we have a giant styrofoam insert housing our Slimer statue. Come with little baggies on them, which is cool, I guess. And you just stick a pole up Slimer's ass, I guess, to put him on the statue or something. Actually, the pole just goes right into Slimer's chin here. There we go. There's our Ghostbusters statue that comes with the movie. And it is limited deluxe edition, and we got a handwritten number on it. There's the instructions. I guess I could have looked at that first. Overall, just for these two things, the box didn't really need to be that huge. I guess they're just trying to be extra careful with the padding on the statue. The Blu-ray set in here is almost exactly the same as one I already had, but it's the Canadian version, so it has SOS Phantom on it as well. This Blu-ray set has a little booklet in it, but even though they put French on the cover, this doesn't have a French translation in here anywhere. So let's finish this out with a group shot of possibly every format Ghostbusters has been released on. VHS, Betamax, VCD, V2000, Video 8, DVD, UMD, Blu-ray, Micro SD, Laserdisc, CED, USB flash drive, and VHD. Hello? Yeah? This is the most serious video I'm ever going to do because it's on the Tyco Garfield phone? Yeah, that sounds about right. So this is probably one of the most infamous novelty phones out there, the Garfield telephone by Tyco. A real telephone that's real fun. Lift the receiver, Garfield wakes up, hang up, and he goes back to sleep. According to the date on the box, these phones first hit the market in 1981, but I know they're still being released a fair amount after that. An easy indicator how long these phones were being put out is this sticker on the box. You could talk to Garfield toll-free from July 1st to December 31st, 1986. I guess this Garfield hotline is the first number I should try calling on this phone. Apparently being able to switch from pulse to tone mode was a big selling point for this phone, as they keep putting it all over the box here. But of course the main thing we all care about is Garfield's eyes open and close. Also, we've got high quality materials throughout and a 1-year limited warranty. Tyco made a few other model Garfield phones over the years, but this is the most famous one. You've probably seen the clip around from Ninja Terminator with a very serious Richard Harrison answering his Garfield phone.
Listen to me.
Traitor, the Ninja Empire is evil. I have to reform the Ninja Empire.
And of course, these Tyco Garfield phones have been washing up on the shores of France for years. And this is due to the fact that a shipping container full of these phones got lost overboard sometime in the 80s and has been lodged in an underwater cave and just slowly releasing these phones over the years. So if you want the zombie edition of the Tyco Garfield phone, you need to get one of those ones. It's such a ridiculous story, but really it's just a big fat hairy deal, right, Garfield?
Big fat hairy deal.
I have wanted one of these phones for quite a while, but finding one in actually good condition took a bit of searching. On a lot of these phones, the mechanism that opens and closes Garfield's eyes kind of gets stuck. So you might see some where it's like Garfield can barely keep his eyes open, or maybe he's on some kind of drug bliss. Also, I've noticed Garfield's black stripes on the receiver of these have been worn down on a lot of them.
Go to hell!
So the whole actual phone is just housed within the receiver. Garfield is just decorative. But I mean, decorative is the entire point, right? In the housing for the receiver, we can again see the copyright stamp for Garfield, 1978 to 1981, United Features Syndicate, Inc. When you think about the fact that there's no actual electronics or anything in Garfield here, just a little mechanism to make his eyes open and close, it really is kind of ridiculous how heavy this is. But I suppose that is because he's made out of high quality materials, right, Garfield?
This is the best present a cat could ever get.
It's funny, this really is just such a simple little gimmick of Garfield going to sleep and waking up when you pick up or put down the receiver, but it is just really fun for some reason. Eyes open, eyes close, eyes open, eyes close, eyes open, eyes close. And here's a simulation of the Garfield phone ringing.
Here comes Garfield. Look out, here comes Garfield.
Yep, that's really what it sounded like. Or it probably sounded more like this.
I was going to do something spontaneous here, but I've been too busy to plan it.
And if there were ever two silly gimmick telephones I needed in my life, it was definitely the Tyco Garfield phone and the Remco Ghostbusters one. But admittedly, the Garfield one is the most fun. Alright, it's time to talk to Garfield. I've been waiting many years for this.
Watch out, here's talking Garfield.
Face it, you're a wimp.
That's just rude, Garfield.
This show is the answer. Unfortunately, no one's figured out the question yet.
I don't want to go to playgroup.
You have the wrong number.
Go propose to you too.
Go to hell!
Hello?
I don't want to go to playgroup.
Yeah?
Do any of you fools know how to shut off this infernal contraption?
Yeah?
Good evening, godless sodomites.
Yeah? Yeah, that sounds about right.
Watching, and we'll see you in the morning in the GA.